So today we are going to discuss about the drainage system of India. Already in the previous day we get to know about what is drainage. The drainage describes the river system of an area. So the drainage system means the river system of an area. It's called the drainage system. Drainage system of India means all the rivers of India together make the drainage system of India. Now the drainage system of India, it's totally controlled by the relief feature. In the last chapter we read about the relief feature. Somewhere it is the mountain area, somewhere it is the plain area, somewhere it is the plateau region, somewhere it is the peninsula. So in case of according to the landform or according to the relief features only, like all the rivers of India are flowing, or the drainage system of India, it's totally depend on the relief feature of our country. So according to the Indian rivers, we have divided the Indian rivers into two groups. We have divided the Indian rivers into major two groups. The one is the Himalayan river and the second one is the peninsular river. So basically drainage system of India divided into two parts. One is the Himalayan river and another one is the peninsular river. Now we will discuss what is this Himalayan river and what is the peninsular river. Okay. Now the Himalayan river means this river start from any Himalayan region only. These all are the rivers which flow from the northern India and they starts from, or their origin is from Himalaya by any glacier or any of the lake. And peninsular river means the rivers which are flowing from the peninsular region of India, that is in simple, that is called the peninsular river. For example, we can say that Ganga, Brahmaputra, Indus all are the Himalayan river because it starts from the Himalayan region only. And Krishna, Kaveri, Godavari, these all are the peninsular river because they are flowing from the peninsular region and generally they are started from the Western Ghat or the Central Highland. Now in case of the Himalayan river and the peninsular river, there are certain differences. Basically Himalayan river and peninsular rivers are having almost different. So in case of the Himalayan river, the Himalayan rivers are actually originate from any glacier. And the peninsular rivers, they originate from the peninsular plateau region. In case of the Himalayan rivers, if we will compare the Himalayan river and the peninsular river, Himalayan rivers are very large. The catchment area of the entire basin, if I will say, that is very large in case of the Himalayan rivers, and in the peninsular river it is very small because comparatively peninsular rivers are smaller. In case of the Himalayan rivers, like a river having three processes: erosion, deposition and transportation. So in case of the Himalayan river, the amount of the water is very high. So that's why the huge amount of the erosional activity occurred. And in case of the peninsular river, the amount of the water is low. So that's why the erosional activity is low in case of the peninsular river. Now basically the Himalayan rivers are good for irrigation purpose because these rivers are having the water throughout the year. That's why we are getting the water for our agricultural land every time or all the times from these rivers only. But the peninsular rivers, these peninsular rivers are not having the water, so they are not very much useful for irrigation. Point number 5, you can see it is written perennial. Now what is the meaning of the term perennial? The meaning of the term perennial means it having the water throughout the year. So Himalayan rivers are the perennial river because these rivers having the water throughout the year because their source is glacier only. All the year the glacial melt water they are getting. But the peninsular rivers are the non-perennial. If you will see the peninsular rivers, so you will find that these peninsular rivers are not having water throughout the year. That's why we are saying the peninsular rivers are the non-perennial one. Example, Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra. These all rivers are the example of the Himalayan rivers. And peninsular rivers, we can say about the river Tapi, or we can talk about the river Mahanadi, Krishna. These all are the peninsular rivers. So this is a detailed comparison in between the Himalayan river and the peninsular river. Basically, Himalayan rivers are those rivers which are started from any glacier of the Himalayan region and they flows in the northern part of the India. Himalayan rivers are those rivers which are having very large catchment area. Himalayan rivers are those rivers which is very much useful in irrigation, navigation, all the purposes. In Himalayan rivers, we can say that Himalayan rivers are getting water due to rainfall as well as the glacial melt water also. So because of this reason, these rivers are having water throughout the year. That's why these rivers are called perennial. Example, Indus and Ganga is the river which are the perennial river. In case of the peninsular rivers are those rivers which originate from the peninsular plateau region. Basically, these rivers originate from Western Ghat as well as the Central Highland also. Peninsular rivers are small. They doesn't have the water throughout the year because they are getting the water from only rainfall. Like I said, you Himalayan rivers can get the water from rainfall as well as the glaciers, but the peninsular rivers are getting the water from only rainfall. That's why these rivers are non-perennial. Even these rivers are not very useful like the Himalayan rivers also. These rivers are not very useful like the Himalayan rivers also, because these rivers doesn't have the water throughout the year. So we can see that these rivers are not useful for irrigation as well as for the agricultural purpose. Now this is why we are saying that this river is not very useful for the irrigation purpose. Now in case of the perennial rivers and the non-perennial rivers, you can write more things like the examples. Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra is the example of the perennial river. Non-perennial river, you can talk about the Tapi is a non-perennial river, or Luni is a non-perennial river. Himalayan river, peninsular river comparison I have discussed with you all. In the same way, the comparison can come in between the perennial river and non-perennial river. So basically what you need to write, first you will write the Himalayan rivers are mostly the perennial river and peninsular rivers are the non-perennial river. The meaning of the perennial is this rivers having the water throughout the year. The meaning of the non-perennial is this river doesn't have the water throughout the year. Now perennial rivers, you can write that perennial rivers are very much useful for irrigation, navigation purposes. Non-perennial rivers are less useful because they don't have the water. So example of the perennial river, you can talk about the Indus and Ganga. Example of the non-perennial river, you can talk about the Tapi, or suppose you can write Luni. These all are the non-perennial river. So in the same way, you need to prepare perennial and non-perennial river. Now this is one of the very important topic of the chapter, that is the main courses of the river. Now main courses of the river means, suppose you all know that a river having a starting point and a river having a ending point. The starting point of the river is called the origin of the river, and the ending point of the river is the mouth of the river or the confluence of the river with the sea. Suppose if I will give you the example of the Ganga river, because you all know so many things about Ganga river. Ganga river started from Gangotri glacier. This is the starting or origin of the river, and Ganga river ultimately meet with the Bay of Bengal. This is the end of the river. A large number of the rivers are there. Those rivers doesn't have the stages or all the stages of the river, but generally the rivers, almost all the Himalayan river having 3 stages. In page number 18 in your book, you will get a diagram. You can see that also. Now the main course of the river is divided into 3 parts: upper course, middle course and the lower course. Now what does it mean, upper course, middle course and the lower course? See this image properly. Suppose a river starts from here, that is a glacial area or a mountain area. So this is the origin of the river. Now the river will move from the mountain regions only first, or the hilly states only. Then it will be enter in the states which are comparatively having the moderate slope. That means that is not that much hilly area. Then finally it will come in those areas where you can see that over there the gentle slope or very less slopes are there. So according to this slope only, or according to the landform only, we are dividing the stages of the river. A river having three stages. The first one it's called the upper course, middle course, and the third one it's called the lower course. In the upper course, this is the upper course of the river. This is the middle course of the river, and this is the lower course of the river. Upper course of the river, in this time the river starts from the mountain, so that's why the huge amount of the flow of the water is present. In this stage the river is a young river, that means it is just originated. That's why we said that this is a young stream in the upper course of the river, and from here the water started, so this is called the source of the river. Now the river is flowing from the mountain region. This is called the upper course of the river or the young stream. Now in this area only you can find that the slope of the land, it is little bit steep. Now the river entered into almost the like moderate plain land area. That means it and the mountain phase of the river it's over. Now this second phase is called the middle course of the river. That means the river is now flowing from the region that is not having high hills. And this stage is called the mature stage of the river. Like the river is always related with the life cycle of the human being. Like we are young now, maybe after that we will be mature, we will be old. So that is the thing only. The river's mature stage is the middle course of the river. When the river stop the flow of the mountain, they enter into almost the plainland areas. Now in the third stage, that is the last stage of the river, in this stage the river said it is the old stream. That means the river get now old, because it started from here, it crossed a long path and it entered to a flat area nearby the ocean. And this is called the lower course of the river, where the river having very gentle slope. You can find this is almost a plain land only, and this is the old streams. Now you can see, yesterday I told you about the distributary and tributaries. You can see over here, suppose from where the river started, if the small stream will come from this side or this side, it will join the main river. It is called tributary of the river. But here at the ending of the river, you can see the river is splitted into different parts. And these different parts are called the distributary of the river. So the river having three stages, young, mature and old, or the three courses we can say that is the upper course, middle course and the lower course of the river. You can see from the Himalayan region the river starts, it moves from a plain land, then it is coming to a low-lying area and ultimately it is meeting with the sea. This is the destination of the river, this is the source or origin of the river. And here you can see the river split up into the numerous channels, that is called the distributary. The question was there yesterday, what is ma'am delta? So what is delta means? You can see the river when it is coming to the end nearby the sea, the river divided into numerous channels. I am telling this is the distributary. Now in this phase only, the river is not able to like carry more amount of the sand and silt with it. So whatever it carried with it, it deposits all the things at this stage only. And by the deposition only, the triangular shaped landmass occur, and that is called the delta. So I think I am clear with the delta. Now you can see this is a flow of the river where the river is flowing in this way. This river, you can see the river making so many zigzag kind of the land, and this is called the meander. In the book the meander is written. Meander means when the river is flowing by taking so many sharp bends, so ultimately the river looks like a S-like feature, and this is called the meander. And from this meander only, when this kind of the shape occur, ultimately it looks like a bow of the ox, and this is called the ox-bow lake. So this is about the three stages of the river. You can see in this picture also the river taking so many turns and twists. This is called the meander, and after that when the river comes and make this kind of the shape, the part of the river is separated from the actual one, that is called the ox-bow lake. Okay.